Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever for today's video all about how to pass your upcoming Advanced Audit and Assurance exam by taking you through all of the free resources available to you on ACCA's website. If this is the first time you've visited my channel before, my name is James. I'm an ACCA qualified member from the UK, and on my channel I help out accounting students wherever you may be around the world pass your upcoming exams. And as ever, I dedicate the videos to my lovely subscribers who drop me comments down below, lovely messages wherever you're based around the world with requests for videos, so the new videos are dedicated to you to help. And today is no different because, as you can see from my technical editing down here, we have Accountant Tools who's got in touch. I mean, how could I not respond? I mean, I need guidelines for Advanced Audit and Assurance, how I start. 2 months remaining, not read the book, only listened to 3 webinars to approach the actual examination technique. Accountant Tools, do not worry, I have got you covered. In this video, I'm going to take you through, as I said, all the free resources available to you that if I was in your position and I've got to do the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam again, these are the ones that I'd be using. And the reason why this video is going to be really important you watch to the end is because I actually failed the Advanced Audit and Assurance paper, but I did go on to pass it as well. So I'll be giving you my insights, all of my knowledge as we go through to say how these free resources help and how you can apply it in your actual revision. If you'd like access to all of my free resources, all you need to do is subscribe, the button is at the bottom, and again, you'll get all of my uploads, all my insights that could be the difference, just getting that final little mark to get you into the 50 plus and to pass your exam. If you do find the video helpful, which I really do, hope you find it all right, you know, I put in the time, I share my insights on it, so make sure you give it a massive like below. I really appreciate all the support, and if you've got any colleagues or study buddies who you know have got the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam, make sure you share this with them because the little insights, as I said, could be the difference in getting you that pass. It's a really good foundation to start your studies off. There are loads of free resources that I wish I'd have known about, hence why we're recording it today. So we're all spot on. Well, make sure you get comfortable, get a pen and paper at the ready so we can take some notes. I'm going to hop over to the main screen. What I've done for you is I put the link to all of the actual resources in the description of this video, so nice and easy to find. Just head down there and click it, and we can walk and talk it through together. So let's get cracking. 3, 2, 1, and go! Okay then, so if you've clicked the link, as I said, in the description of this video, it's going to bring you onto this screen. I'm here on the side as ever. All the important information that you need to be taking notes on is in the middle on there. And I'm just going to walk and talk you through some of the main key features that I'd be particularly paying attention to, and also highlighting all of the important PDFs so that you can get a note down for it, go away and download it yourself, and implement it in your Advanced Audit and Assurance revision process. Well, the first thing that we definitely have to touch on, if you go all the way down to the bottom, which does get missed off sometimes, is the actual pass rates for this exam. So this is really important, especially if you're just looking at this module for the first time. Maybe you had Audit and Assurance, the actual F8 paper a few years ago. This is really important that you understand that give or take 1 in 3 students will pass this exam. So what it means on here for the June 2021 paper on there, it's got 32% pass rate. So for every 100 students that did the exam, only 32 passed it. And it's usually one of the lowest of the ACCA exams. So if you haven't looked at Audit and Assurance, if you don't currently work in Audit and Assurance as well, then you really have to pay attention to the actual syllabus and your core text that we'll talk about in this video. But the next key thing to be aware of as we scroll back up to the top here is the Ethics and Professional Skills module. So before you actually do this examination, I would highly recommend that you complete the Ethics and Professional Skills module. Students who actually do that part of their process for ACCA increase their chances of actually succeeding on this exam because there are ethical situations and professional skills that need to be demonstrated within your answers in this exam. So get that jotted down if you haven't already done it on your to-do list after this video so that you're going to take action from it. So as you can see, if we scroll down here to some of the actual exam resources. Again, I'm just going to take you through one by one as to what I would be paying attention to and what I'd be putting in my revision notes and within my actual revision plan to be having a look through and actually analysing and to actually make some time for, because I know with work and other commitments, fitting in everything can be very tough. So the first thing on here is actually a nice little introduction from ACCA themselves about the steps to success and tackling the exam. So definitely would be on my list to actually have a look at. You can have a look at it in your own time. But then scrolling down to the bottom, another key resource on here, the actual essentials on one page. So many students do not use this, but like any well-prepared presenter, here's one I prepared earlier. So this just nicely breaks it down as to some of the actual key verbs, the key topics that you should be actually expecting to see on the exam, how to actually prepare, and what should be your approach. So starting off from the left-hand side, these are the nice processes as you go through some of the topic areas, how it links in from other exams. So if you are starting off looking at advanced audit assurance, maybe you've not had a look at this in a long time, you're going to have to pull out your old SBR notes as well, because there are quite a lot of assumed knowledge, especially from a financial reporting point of view, covered in SBR that you need to apply definitely in advanced audit and assurance. So this is sort of the progress as you actually go through it. And again, if you're watching this video thinking, I've got a choice, which one shall I do? If you haven't already done SBR and you're thinking about doing advanced audit and assurance, I'd highly recommend that you do SBR first and then move on to advanced audit and assurance. So as you can see down here, it nicely breaks down all the underpinning knowledge and skills, the detailed knowledge you need to be aware of, some of the topics such as money laundering, corporate governance, group audits on there, professional liability, and then other current issues that we'll be taking a look at later in the technical articles. So make sure you get that written down, that you need to be reading the most 2 to 3 up-to-date technical articles on current issues. The external examiner is highlighting it for you on here, so make sure you have a look at it. Next, you've got to cover the entire syllabus. This was one of the key things that when I failed it for the first time, I really didn't look at the syllabus in enough detail, and I'm going to take you through all of the key topics later on in this video, so make sure you stick around for that. Wider reading as well, the practice platform, the computer-based examination, all critical key things. And look how I just highlight over here with my mouse. So these are all the other sort of key resources at the bottom. The way if you actually click that, it's going to take you directly to that area on the ACCA's website. So another underused resource. Most frequently used advanced audit and assurance exam verbs. These are really key for how you actually present your answer. So this will be linking into the past papers, which again we'll come on to later. Absolutely fundamental to passing this exam. And then the actual question approach. So how to actually just go through and approach the scenario, understanding the requirement, because one of the key tips to get down as to why 2 in 3 students fail this exam is because, one, they don't actually finish the paper, so bad time management, and secondly is, well, they don't actually answer all of the requirement, what the marker is looking for. So a 10-mark question, they may only answer 4 out of the 10 marks. Well, if you answer 4 out of the 10 marks, the maximum you can get is 4, which even if you got it all right, is still a fail. That's 4 out of 10, 40%. So one of the key aspects to make sure you've got written down, you'll see it again later on, is applying back to the scenario. So don't just say, it is like this. You've actually got to say, well, what is the company's name? What is going on in this scenario? That is how you actually organise those plan points and check all the information is being applied correctly in your answer. That is what the marker is looking for. Because writing a good answer, how to demonstrate professionalism, so layout, presentation, you are given marks for this. I think it's up to 4 marks in question 1 especially. Writing clear and concisely, in other words, you don't get any marks for waffle. That is a key thing on there, that am I writing down key aspects that relate to the requirement that are going to get me marks, rather than just knowledge dumping everything what I can think of on the paper. And then relevant content, it must add value, not just restating the facts. So again, application back to the scenario and then saying what is going wrong and addressing what is being asked for in the actual question. So that's a fantastic resource to get us started off. There are also stepping up from Audit and Assurance, other articles on here, so go and check them out. Really helpful, that, especially if you've not covered Audit and Assurance in a very long time, which is another reason why people fail this exam. So that's the first bit on there. So we'll head back onto the actual main page now. You've got generic areas on here that you'll have seen in other modules, so just planning your studies on here. I'd say to actually prepare effectively for the Advanced Audit and Assurance, and this links into the planning of the study, you're going to need at least 3 months to actually really understand the knowledge and then actually develop exam technique, doing enough past papers. So this is everything from going through your actual provider, knowing the exam, study plan, application on there. If you do work in Audit and Assurance and maybe you've just got your results back and then you can maybe sit the exam in, I think it's about 7.5 weeks, then yes, that is potentially possible, especially if you've just done SPR. But again, it comes down to your sort of situation as to, well, what requirements have I got in my life, how much time have I got to study. For me, I didn't work in Audit and Assurance actually really at all before I did this exam. I thought, oh, maybe in the future I'll go and work in audit. We shall see. That's what I wanted to do it just in case I moved practices. But it was a case of I needed at least 3 months to go through it, and then I failed the exam, so I needed a few other months after that as well. So it's completely up to you, but it really comes down to the question practice and getting your answer clear and concise, as we saw on the recent PDF. That is one of the key things here. Now, you've got the computer-based examination here, a nice introduction, and it's just getting used to the actual format and how to apply that with an Advanced Audit and Assurance exam. So nicely on here, I've actually given you documents how to actually go about this and going through the performance platform. So the best one I found on here is the actual strategic and professional guidance for it. And if you have a little look through yourself, it goes through all of the importance of question practice, all of the workspaces that you see on here, how it all functions. So if you're actually having to calculate materiality, any ratios for Advanced Audit and Assurance especially, and then taking you through all the functions on here as well, how to actually implement the spreadsheet, and then how the marker will be actually marking it. Because the last thing you want to do is have the answer down there and it's not actually in the right sort of format, or you can't calculate, say, the square root or the power of. It's all in there and can be really helpful. A really helpful tool, because the last thing you want is in the exam not knowing how to navigate and to actually utilize the system. So CBE question practice along with pen and paper practice is going to be really key for you on here. So again, another really key resource for you to have a look at in your own time. You've also got a sort of self-check quizzing on here. So again, if you're not sort of, if English isn't your first language, this is where the Advanced Audit and Assurance paper is very wordy. You have to describe, you have to relate it back to the scenario. So again, some free resources on here from ACCA that can really help you out. Again, check them out in your own time, but it's just to help you out. And there was maths on there as well, but you should have already developed and honed those skills from the substantive procedures, the ratios, and the materiality from already doing Audit and Assurance, the F8 paper. It's more sort of the depth and knowledge and how to write concisely, I would say, is going to help you out on that. We've then got the examining team guidance, and this is a really helpful, nice article on there that you can go into to read a bit more. Again, really helpful if you've not looked at Audit and Assurance, or even kind of started maybe your tuition for Advanced Audit and Assurance. That'd be a very good article, and we'll see it again later. So nicely still going through, so we've actually got the actual documents down here as well as we go through, and this is where we've got the examinable documents, where it's all sort of up to date as you can go through. But this is where you've got the international paper, the UK paper, and I believe that's the Singapore paper on there. I personally did the international paper, even though I am from the UK. The UK paper that I find is, if you have to actually try it and do it specifically for your role, if you work in a particular sector and you're dealing with UK clients. Whereas the international paper is obviously more internationally recognised and also considers the wider perspective. So the only reason why I could think you would pick the UK one over the international one is if it's specific to your employer and your role. 99% of people tend to do the international paper, or of course you may be from Singapore and you have to do the Singapore paper. So just check with your actual employer and also people who you actually may be studying with, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to be your employer, and someone at your organisation will give you some guidance on there. But I sat the international paper, so it's completely up to you. I just worked in a normal small practice doing accounts preparation, taxation when I was studying, and it was a case of it was a more flexible one, depending where, if I wanted to go work overseas around the world. The next key thing on here is the syllabus. Now this is really, really important, as we said, there are only 2 on here at the moment, but there will be other resources, but I'm just going to keep it simple on here for the international paper, but you've got both on here anyway. And if you go into the syllabus and study guide, go to the most up-to-date one for the actual exam you've got. And this is how I'd actually run through it, just to give you a feel for how it sort of breaks down the module, especially if this is maybe the first video you watched on Advanced Audit and Assurance. A really helpful syllabus guide on here, breaking down absolutely everything that you need to have. Again, I'm only going to highlight the key important things I'll be having a look at. Obviously on here it's telling you the breakdown of all the sort of systems and you know what ACCA stands for and the guidance on the exams. But the first one here is what it is in relation to it. So we saw for that first essentials on one page, the underpinning knowledge of SBR and the usual audit and assurance papers. So if you are coming back to, or coming to sit the actual advanced audit and assurance paper now, and you're going, oh, I've not looked at audit in a very long time, well, there's your answer there for the 2 previous resources that you should be looking through. Then, as you go through, we've got the actual breakdown of the actual exam structure. So you've got section A there, which is going to be a case study, and section B, which is going to be pulling in a variety of different areas and 2 compulsory 25-mark questions for you to be aware of. But look, you're actually highlighting for you there current issues, we saw that on the essentials on one page, and quality control and ethics. That's why it's really important to do the module that we talked about at the start of the video. Now we've then got the introduction to the syllabus as to say, well, what could be potentially on it. But this one here for the main capabilities as to, before the examination, what are you expected to know and what are the areas that could come up in your exam. And if you can look through A to H on there and say, yes, James, I can really have a go at all of those and apply it to some exam questions. Plus, if you want to see how it overlaps with different areas, there's a really nice diagram broken down for you. Now, coming on to another important point and area is the syllabus breakdown. And this is a really helpful checklist for you to actually go through area by area, and I found this very helpful, having not done audit and assurance in my actual role and failing it for the first time. So I actually printed this out, used it as a checklist to say I have covered off absolutely every area. So confidence-wise going into the exam, I was there going, well, no matter what they actually put in front of me, whether it's fraud and error or something specific about audits or technology, I can have a really good go at this. And then from this checklist on here, it goes into a lot more detail at the bottom. So in other words, you see how we've got regulatory environment here and international regulatory frameworks for audit and assurance services. So what that's referring to is, there's your regulatory environment, international regulatory framework for audit and assurance services, but notice on there it's just got it as a point, but on here it actually breaks down in detail all the things that you need to know for that. So a really helpful tool that will link into your actual study text, and if you're getting stuck on any exam questions, another really good tool to go through. But as you can see on here, it is quite vast, as you can see, but it nicely breaks down all the areas that you need to be aware of. Now finally at the bottom, any changes to the actual advanced audit assurance paper, and these take effect from the September paper. So we actually have March, on there we have June, September and December. The September paper is the first one where these will be put into practice. So again, you can go through it. This is for the September 2021. Nice little breakdown for you. What are the changes and what you need to be aware of on there as well. So nicely broken down, really helpful resource. I would definitely be looking at that if I had to go back and do the advanced audit assurance exam again. I don't want to do it for a third time, so that's why I'm helping you out. So we've covered the syllabus on there. We've also talked about the Maths and English language support, how it links into this exam as well. So feel free to check out that if you'd like to utilise those services. Then going on to the learning and revision. So this is more the technical aspects and the actual areas you need to cover for the exam. So you've got effective learning and revision. Again, that's just going to link into how you actually take the material, break it down with the planning and your revision stage. This is more sort of generic things that maybe you just want a refresher. Maybe this is, you've had a study break and this is your first one back. Have a little look into it. It breaks you through all of the actual platforms, and it also gives you some nice helpful links at the bottom with some podcasts as well. So there you go. It's up to you. Really, really helpful tools on here that they wouldn't put it on here if it wasn't going to add value to some students. That's the key thing. CBE, this could be one of your first computer-based examinations. And again, these are really helpful videos on here specific for advanced audit and assurance, how to actually complete the exams, planning them, because one of the other areas is actually utilising your time effectively in the advanced audit and assurance paper, because trust me, it flew by when I did it. There's so much to actually digest, reading through the scenarios, understanding the requirement, and then getting that down in my answer. Check them out, all three as you can see on there, and again, definitely another area I'd be using. Coming back onto the main screen, you've also got the actual practice platform, so you just click on that as you go through. You can actually log into the practice platform, you pop in your actual details, and there's going to be specimen and past papers in there for you. The more past papers you do for advanced audit assurance, the better prepared you're going to be. Make sure you've got that written down, because that was another reason why I failed for the first time. I just didn't do enough past papers, and I just didn't do enough to time. That was the other key thing. We've then also got the actual examiner's report on here. So if you go on to at the bottom, now no matter what time you're actually, or I should say date you're watching this, I'd only be reading the examiner's report for the most recent one. I would say potentially going back, but let me just show you through what you can actually find in there. So this is the examiner's report for that March and June 2021, but it nicely breaks down different questions on there that were actually tested on the examination. This lady's very happy because she's passed her advanced audit and assurance exam, I'm sure, but it actually takes you through really well the questions, how they were laid out, what some students answered well and what some students didn't answer very well on there, and then the important things that the marking team picked up on and where candidates use different techniques. So when attempting the Section A question, candidates will find it useful to break down the information given in the scenario. It is also helpful to consider why specific information has been provided and how it impacts the evaluation of risk in this scenario. So in other words, applying back to the scenario was absolutely key, and writing down, referring to that specific information on there. So plenty of information on here, going through the different types of requirements, notes from the actual aspects of what the examining team fed back about what the answers and the standards that were provided, different policies, expansions. So these are going to be linking into other areas of the syllabus that we've just looked at, but in this case applied to a timber plantation example. And again, look on here, referring to some of the key figures that you need to be doing in your exam. So again, another really helpful resource on there. Feel free to check it out, all broken down for you. Very, very helpful, and I'd definitely be looking through that. Probably, I would say, 4 weeks before my exam, at least, because there's got a lot of information in there that will save me time in the long run, not making mistakes. So that's the examiner's report, and I've already alluded to it in the past already, the actual past papers. So the more you do on here, the better. And again, these are the actual different ones on here. So you've got the international paper, the Irish paper, I was right on Singapore, knew it, and UK on here. So I'm just going to stay consistent and go to the international paper, check which one again you've got to do. But look on here, you've got loads of papers all the way back to 2017 when I'm recording this. But if I was you, I'd print out this, use it as a checklist, and start from the most recent and work back. The more you do, the better off you're going to be. And if you print it out and check it off, psychologically, you're going to see you're making progress, and maybe set yourself the target of doing the questions in the morning when you've got more energy, and then reviewing your answers in the afternoon. So let's just take a quick look at that as to why it's important. So you've got the international paper on here, and again, it just breaks it down for you what it would look like on the day, and then going on to some sample questions. So you've got things about the partner email, you've got, again, some key areas within the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam that you have to be confident on is audit risk, business risk, substantive procedures on there. I mean, look on here, you've got A and B, audit risk and business risk on there, but it's also at what stage of the audit. Is it in the planning stage like we've got on here? We've then got the other procedures, and then look on here, there is always ethics included. So you go through it, it's got different questions, different scenarios, but look at the length of those actual scenarios on there and the information that you're going to have to digest quickly, because the exam is so time pressured. And again, you've got section B as we go further down, and just broken down for you as to say, well, we've got a group audit. Again, we've looked at that in the syllabus, and referring to some of the key words. So comment on the quality of the planning, first area we've got to talk about, and the performance. So I'm thinking already in my answer for this, planning and performance are the key words I've got to use. And again, you can have the actual questions, and then in the afternoon I'd be then definitely going through the answers when I've got a bit more energy. You're actually given marks for actually laying out the question as it would be professionally done. So you get marks for writing out the briefing notes with this format. And then look how they've broken it down from these are the key points identified from the scenario and then applied back to what the requirement was asking. In this case, it was business risk. And then if we go down further, we've got the audit risk on there. But these are the key things that you need to be identifying within the actual question. And if you come down here, we've got the ethical issues. So again, referring back to the incentive payment was the key thing on there, but just look at how much wording is on here as to say, well, you need to get really good at being concise in your answers as you go through, because that is what they're looking for on here. We've got the breakdown of that question about in regards to performance on here. So look, you've got, there's the key word on there. You've got performed with sufficient objectivity and professional skepticism. This is the standard of terminology that you need to be applying along with what is being asked in the requirement. So a significant self-review thread to the objectivity, and it's relating to all of the actual codes of ethics on here as well that you need to build into your actual answer. So just having a look through on here, look at this. This raises concerns over the quality of the audit which has been performed, keyword from the actual question on there as well. So you've been warned. Look, it's going to take time to go through, but the learning curve, you will get better at this the more you do. I think it is like a old management accounting term there. Yes. Right, onwards. And as you can see on here, coming on to this, now this is really important to get down in your notes, is there will be areas, topical areas in your examination. So this is where have a look through some of the articles on here, everything from ethics, risk, accounting issues, audit procedures. If you're getting stuck on a particular area, two things you should do in the advanced audit and assurance paper. First of all, head to the actual technical articles, have a read on it, see if it's an up-to-date article that there could be actually referring to deliberately. And then secondly, refer back to your study text to underpin your actual analysis and understanding of that topic. But these are some of the key topics and heading areas that we saw in the actual syllabus. So just go through them one by one, take some time to have a look through, and it's really important, these, especially if you're not from an audit background, I would say. So coming on to some of the other aspects on here now. So we've had a look through the technical articles. You've then got the actual computer-based exam technique. And we touched on this earlier, and I said, oh, there's a link here and it will take you through. This is the actual really helpful resource and video from ACCA, and a really helpful underused resource on here that I would definitely be looking through. Read the Mind of the Advanced Audit and Assurance Marker. Now, again, look at these: ethics, risk, accounting issues. We've just had a look at these. These refer to some of the articles and then other PDFs. But the main key one on here I'd be having a look at 100%. Read the mind of the actual marker. So they've taken the time to actually produce this report to help students with advanced audit assurance, and they actually go through different questions on here and then what are good answers and what are bad answers. So it gives you an example of a question for 20 marks, breaks down the notes as to say, well, what did they actually go for, and then gives you a mark what that level of answer would have achieved. And then nicely as well, it shows you one answer that would have passed and unfortunately one answer that failed. So again, another really helpful resource on there to show you the level of detail that you need to be going into. the specific understanding and the standard that you need to be achieving. Filtered loads of different marks, how to pick up on answers on here. This is where if you're not specific to the scenario, and they mention it in that first sheet where all the essentials are on one page, if you write waffle, and like these two noughts on here, I mean, to write that, a few minutes on there, plus you've got to think it through, but all that time wasted for no marks. But look, it's a lot more specific up here. Didn't write as much, but actually achieved the marks. So another key thing, just to write down in your notes there, the actual requirement, the actual procedure you're going through, and how you're laying out your answer effectively is the key thing here. So that takes you through the actual read the mind of the Advanced Audit and Assurance marker on there. Again, definitely a thing I'd be looking at. And then finally on here, the actual frequently asked questions. So especially if you're a bit new to the actual module, you want to get a bit of a better understanding, these are the overview questions that the majority of accounting students who are sitting this module would actually be asking themselves. So usually what we've actually asked the tutor, so should SBR be attempted before or with this exam? I mean, that's a bit subjective. Personally, I would be doing it before, 100%, because it links in as you go through. We've even seen it on the syllabus. But it's all broken down there for you, nice and easy, and again, really helpful. It's not too long either on there. So that takes us through all of the key elements from the learning and revision, and then just to finish, before we go back to the main screen, the lovely pass rates on there as well. But without any further ado, let's head back to the main screen. As I said, 3, 2, 1, and go! Wow, what did you think to that? I'm sure Accountant Tools has got loads of notes down that are going to definitely help them to prepare for their upcoming Advanced Audit and Assurance exam. These would be the free resources I'd definitely be using that could make the difference in getting those little extra marks that could take you into the 50 plus, because I know this is a really tough exam. If you found the video helpful today, make sure you give it a massive like and thumbs up below. It helps that the video can be seen by more accounting students, and again, could make that difference in them passing. If you know anyone who's actually doing the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam, make sure you share it with them. It will really help them out, making them aware of all the free resources and the insights. And as ever, if you'd like access to all of my free materials, you know what to do. Just simply subscribe at the bottom and you get access to all of my free materials when I upload them. I mean, I offer to do all the requests as Accounting Tools, and you know now. So if you've got any feedback on the video or any questions, just pop us a comment at the bottom. I answer them all, and more than happy to help from my experience. I should be able to hopefully help you out on it as well. Hopefully, definitely, be all right. Well, the final sort of thing on the video before I get distracted is just to say best of luck with your exam, because I know how difficult it is. I failed it once and then I passed it second time. So check out some of the other videos on the channel. Best of luck with it. And if you follow these tips through, these could be the difference in just getting that 50 plus that you'll be passing your Advanced Audit and Assurance exam with flying colours either way. Well, thank you very much. And on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers.